Good evening. Good evening. My name is Michael Hunter Schwartz, and I'm the Dean of the McGeorge School of Law, and I am so excited and honored to kick off our 2022 swearing-in ceremony. I also want to acknowledge the family and friends who are watching in classrooms A and B or via the internet. Thank you all so much for being here to share in this monumental day for our students. So let me tell you about what we're doing this evening. I'll make a few personal remarks and introduce the McGeorge leadership and recruitment teams. Associate Dean Mary Beth Moylan will introduce the faculty. And finally, the Honorable Consuelo M. Callahan will administer the oath of professionalism and conduct the pinning ceremony. Let me tell you a little bit about that. We asked this year our students to work in their legal writing sections or as a group of MPA or MPP students. We had the LLM students work with the various legal writing sections to craft their own oaths of professionalism. And the idea of this ceremony is the equivalent of sort of the white coat ceremony that you see in medical schools or dental schools. Our students swear an oath of professionalism, and then in your bag, you'll see that we've given you a pin that you will pin to your lapel or your dress or your shirt or whatever it is that you'd wish to pin your pin to. I hear from my faculty colleagues that the students were wonderfully engaged in working on their oaths. And having now read all of them, you did great. They were really thoughtful. You made it incredibly painful for me to select the oath that would be administered here today. But I will tell you that the oath we will be administering was authored by section B2, Professor Adams. Okay. For those of you who couldn't see, because you're watching this from somewhere else, there was definitely some fist pumping going on from the members of that class. Before we get fully into our ceremony for today, I would like to recognize that we work on indigenous land. We acknowledge and pay our respects to the Patwin, Nisenan, and Miwok tribes and all the other American Indian and other indigenous peoples and communities who have become a part of these lands and territories in California here in the greater Sacramento region. Also, many of you may not know this, but in addition to our JD students, our incoming class this year is made up of LLM students, JSD students, MSL students, exchange students, international students, and MPA and MPP students. So let me share with you my thoughts. My goal in delivering what will be a very short speech is to suggest to you an approach you might use as you're taking the oath. I'm suggesting this approach because even if you don't really realize this yet at this moment, you are a symbol of a legal professional in the world by just starting law school. You represent what it means to be a legal professional in the various fields that you are choosing to enter into. So to make my point, I'm going to share a series of quotes. The first quote comes from a novel, The Remains of the Day, by Kazuo Ishiguro. As some of you may be aware, the novel was ultimately made into a movie. In the book, a character responds to a suggestion that he act with professionalism by saying, "Professionalism appears to mean getting one's way by cheating and manipulating. It appears to mean serving the dictates of greed and advantage rather than those of goodness and desire to see justice prevail in the world. If that is the professionalism you refer to, sir, I don't care much for it, and I have no wish to acquire it." While the character in the book doesn't mention legal professionals in any of the categories in which you will be working, I fear that he was. If you approach this oath today as another task to get through, as a matter of checking a box required by the law school, you will be adding a brick to this perception of legal professionals. And I do want to clarify to you that he was wrong if he was talking about legal professionals. I have worked with engineers and computer scientists and dentists and pharmacists, and what I can tell you is that actually legal professionals donate more free services than any of those professions. And it's a big difference. You can and should be proud. The second quote is kind of obscure. It's from Tomislav Sola. He wrote, "Professionalism is like love. It is made up of the constant flow of little bits of proof that testify to devotion and care." My final quote is a bit of advice I've been giving myself a lot lately. It's now, for those of you who have received an email from me, it's in my email signature. It is, just do the next right thing and then repeat indefinitely. So here are my recommendations to you for your oath today. Please do not aspire to the image of professionalism suggested by Ishiguro's character. Instead, aspire to Mr. Sola's. Use the oath as the first just little bit of proof of your devotion and care. If you make the extra effort to reflect on the words as Judge Callahan administers the oath, you're offering just a little bit of proof that you will be the kind of legal professional who reflects the possibility of professionalism in that second quote. In many ways, your mindset is very much analogous to the acts of professionalism McGeorge seeks to inspire in you. Real professionalism is all about mindset, and activities of professionalism happen mostly in a professional's mind each and every day. As you move forward at McGeorge and beyond, I'm going to ask you to do just one thing. Just do the next right thing, and then the next right thing after that, and so on. And what I will do in my mind as you are taking the oath, I will reflect on the words and how each obligation to which you are swearing implicates my work as a legal education professional. And I will imagine all of you doing the same about your work as a legal education student. I now get to make some pretty special introductions. I'd like to start by introducing our Student Bar Association. I'll start with your brilliant, talented, forceful, fabulous Student Bar Association President, Krishma Malhotra. She is surrounded by her fabulous fellow colleagues who make up the Student Bar Association board. You can stand up too. I'll now introduce the members of the Dean's Management Team in alphabetical order, starting with Leah Adams, our Assistant Dean of Student and Career Services. Next, Cassandra Fernandez, our Assistant Dean of Advancement. Somewhere behind me, Larry Levine, our Associate Dean of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Kim Miller's not here. Okay, so we do have a person named Kim Miller, she's just not here, who is our Director of Fiscal Services. And then James Worrell, our Associate Dean of Library Services and Associate Professor of Law. It's now my honor to introduce the various groups of people who helped bring you to McGeorge. I will start with Clemence Kuchera, the Assistant Dean for Graduate, Online, and International Programs. Adriana Aguena. Mary Economy. And Kat Worsham. Behind me is Dr. Jeff Michael, the Director of Public Policy Programs and Professor of Public Policy. And he works closely with Lacey Salas. And the final group who brought in our very large JD class, Valerie James, Senior Assistant Dean for Admissions, Financial Aid, and Diversity Initiative. Also here, Kirsten Livingston, Anne-Marie Meyer, and Brandon Webb. A special shout out to Joe Pincus, our Director of Financial Aid. In case you're wondering, at no other law school in the country do people woo the Director of Financial Aid. I've never really understood that. So if you could all join me in applauding all these people who brought you to McGeorge. Associate Dean Mary Beth Moylan will now introduce the faculty.
Thank you very much. I first just want to say it has been such a pleasure to get to know so many of you this week, and I am really excited about you as a group. What a great group of people to have in our community starting here. So now I also want to say welcome to your family and friends who are sitting in classrooms A and B. We wish we had enough space for everyone to be in one place, but we feel that you are here watching all this, so that's great. As the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, I have the good fortune to get to introduce you to my faculty colleagues who are sitting behind me. As you have probably already figured out from the activities and interactions that you've had this week, McGeorge is a very collegial place, and we value community. The people who are sitting here behind me are incredibly smart people who are dedicated teachers, who are accomplished scholars, who are excellent friends, but most importantly, for your purposes, to a person, they are dedicated to your success during law school and beyond. In an interest of having us get out of here quickly so you can mix and mingle and actually talk to them as much as possible, I'm going to be really brief. I'm going to call their names, ask them to stand, I'll introduce them by section, and I know it's tempting to clap for every one of them because they're all awesome, but hold it and do like one big burst for them at the end if you're so inclined. I mean, I don't want to tell you you have to clap for them, but at the end it would be nice and I know they'd appreciate it. So, okay, please note that I'm going to introduce the first year fall faculty by section. Some of them also will be teaching you in the spring, and they also teach upper division classes. And when I introduce your upper division faculty, it's not like you will never see them till your second year or beyond, they are faculty advisors to student organizations. They are concentration directors. They will see you at events. You will go to talks that they give. They'll be involved in symposia that you're invited to. So there's lots of opportunities to interact with everyone who's sitting up here and a few people who are not sitting here because they couldn't be here tonight. Okay, with that, I'm gonna start with the Section A faculty. Teaching civil procedure is Michael Colatrella. Don't clap, good. That was good. I know it's tempting. You want to clap for him. If you would remain standing by section, please, Professor Colatrella, thank you. And now teaching you torts will be Professor Larry Levine. Teaching contracts, Professor Brian Slocum. Teaching global lawyering skills, we have Professor Ederlina Coe, Professor Jeff Prosky. I'll move so you can see him.
Thank you.
All right. And then Professor Holly Estioko is not here, and Professor Telfian will be teaching global lawyering skills to sections A, B, and E. He's got it all, okay? And then your skills lab will be taught by Professor Timothy Peterkin. Okay, so we can clap for A. Down, now we'll do down. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm good at hand motions, so it works. Okay, section B faculty. We have teaching civil procedure, Professor Mike Vitello. Teaching torts, Professor Stephanie Thompson. Teaching contracts, Professor Michael Malloy. And teaching global lawyering skills, Professor Dan Croxall. Dean Adams. Professor Carpenter McKinney, who pretends she's there. And then again, as I mentioned, Professor Telfian, AB, and Professor Peterkin on skills. So, section B. The evening section for the JD class is being taught by Professor Moots for torts, Professor Croxall for Civ Pro, Professor Telfian for, as I mentioned, yeah, just you all by yourself. Professor Croxall, everyone. Okay. If you're in the MPP or MPA program, your primary professors are, as you know, Professor Jeff Michael, Professor John Curlin, Professor Andrew Osorio, and let's give him a hand. And now I want to introduce some of our upper division and spring faculty members. So you're going to get to know Professor Colleen Truden. She's our director of externships. Professor John Sprankling will be teaching first years in the spring. He also teaches a lot of interesting upper division classes. Professor Omar Dujani, con law and international law and all things. Professor Mike Morales. Oh, I have to be in front of the mic, but I don't want to be blocking you. Professor Clark Kelso. Professor Lindsay Harrington is the director of the Bar Support Program. Don't worry about it yet. Professor Reza Rizvani has just joined us in trial advocacy. We're super excited to have him here. Professor Ronnie Hochbaum from our clinics, housing our homeless advocacy clinic. And we have our two emeritus faculty members. We have more than that, but two of the emeritus faculty are here tonight. Professors Brian and Dorothy Landsberg. So I feel like that was the fastest I've ever done it, and I think awesome for all of us. Okay, bye.
So one thing was missing, which is I didn't give you an opportunity to applaud the hardest working human in the universe, Associate Dean Mary Beth Moylan. So please join me. She is also quite woo-worthy. So it's my great honor to introduce my friend, Judge Consuelo M. Callahan. She has served as judge of the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit for nearly 20 years, nominated by President George W. Bush and unanimously confirmed by the Senate in 2003. She earned her law degree from some fabulous institution, I think it's called McGeorge, in 1975, and started her law career in Stockton as deputy city attorney. She then became deputy district attorney in San Joaquin County, focusing on child abuse and sexual assault cases. In 1986, she became a commissioner of the Stockton Municipal Court. 6 years later, she was the first Hispanic woman appointed to the San Joaquin County Superior Court. Governor Pete Wilson appointed her to serve on the 3rd District California Court of Appeal in Sacramento in 1996. Judge Callahan serves on the boards of the Western University of Health Sciences and the American Inns of Court. She has served and currently serves as a regent of our university. Prior to McGeorge, Judge Callahan earned her bachelor's degree from Stanford University and went on to receive, after McGeorge, a Master of Laws degree from the University of Virginia School of Law. And finally, there really is no better supporter of McGeorge and our students. She has this annual habit where she calls me every spring or so and tells me, all right, this person works for me, you need to get her a job. This person works for me, you need to get him a job. I get a bunch of orders from her of who I need to right away get a job. And she does that every year. And she is such a beloved person in our greater Sacramento and really San Joaquin communities, that there is a Pacific Pharmacy family that created a JD scholarship in her name because she was such a meaningful person in their lives. Please join me in welcoming Judge Callahan.
Have my superwoman robe here, but I'll just be myself. Thank you for that very nice introduction. And you might all find this a little bit interesting. Professor Telfian and I went to law school together. I'm not gonna ask you which one of us looks better, but we've been friends all of these years, at any rate. But it's wonderful to be here today and looking out at all of you. You know, we can't help reflect on our own lives as well. But I'm just gonna say that you all look beautiful. And I'm gonna say you look beautiful on the outside, and I know that you're beautiful on the inside. And I'm truly thankful that you all got out of your COVID jammies and came here looking like people that are ready to embrace the law and understand the full power of the law. I'm the first lawyer in my family, and I think I decided I wanted to go to law school because I wanted to help people, and it's wonderful for me to see all your faces out here. When I went to law school, there were less than 10 women in my law school class. It was a very different time. But it's wonderful to see how things have changed and but you know, but the one thing that I find is the challenges that I had, they're gonna be challenges that you have. We always face challenges. And I love giving oaths because oaths make me think about my own life. And we take oaths at important times in our lives, and we take them purposely in front of other people. You know, some of you might be married out there. Sometimes when the different judicial positions I've taken, you know, I have to take an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of California. But it's a promise to do something, and we purposely do it in front of other people, because the first day that you take an oath, it's very easy to do everything that you say that you're going to do. But what you're doing here is you're telling me and you're telling everyone else around you that you're gonna do it every day from this day forward. And it gets harder on some of the days in the future. And many of you have your family looking on, you have your colleagues sitting here, you have your professors. And I'm gonna do it with you as well, because I like to recommit myself to why I became a lawyer, why I'm committed to living a life under the law, and remind myself what I said I would do and to try to do it better along with you. So we're all in this together, and we will all support each other on the days that it's not that easy to live up to our oaths. I think one of the things that's you're all facing right now, and you probably would have to crawl out from under a rock if you haven't noticed that, society is facing a real difficulty in having civil discourse. And one of the law is a language, and it's a language that you're all going to learn and you're going to have available to you. And the law is a language that is wonderfully helpful in having civil discourse. But of course, we're all human beings, and it sometimes becomes difficult to maintain professionalism about things that we feel very passionate about. But things that I've learned along the way, because I do constitutional adjudication, you're going to study con law, and all your professors know about this. And we have something called the First Amendment, which is our right to free speech. And I have to say that it's been a journey for me understanding the First Amendment. But one thing that I've realized that yes, you do have a right, we do have a right to say things, and we're not the thought police. You can think things that you want to think. You can't do everything you want to do. We do have some rules in our society, and you can't obviously threaten people. But if we're truly to have free speech, I realized it means that we have to listen to things that we don't want to hear. We have to listen to views that are not our own. And it sounds easy enough, and we all think that we're going to be better at it than we actually are, but it's really very hard. And it's particularly hard in this day and age. And so as you embrace the law and really understand the power of the law, I really want you to think about that going forward. You're going to have to hear things that you don't want to hear or that you don't particularly like. But it's just one of the most wonderful things that we have in this country, that we can express ourselves. And so really try to be open to hear what your friends say, what your colleagues say, what your professors say. And it takes a certain amount of courage. And I think as a student, you may have to occasionally remind people like me or people like your professors who may not agree with you that your viewpoint is very important and it needs to be expressed as well. So it's just wonderful to see you here today. It's wonderful to see how you've embraced this moment. And I really look forward to being a part of your careers as you develop, and to be there for you, as we all will be, and to sort of restate the reasons that I went to law school, the reason that I've spent my legal career embracing the Constitution and protecting the rights that we all have. But we have to recommit to it. And so keep a copy of your oath handy. And some days we do better than we do other days, but always, I think, as the professor said, and as your dean said, on the days that we don't do really well, let's think about it and recommit the next day. And so I'm very excited to let you come across and stand. And I'm going to put on my Superwoman robe here just for a second, my superpowers, and we're all going to take the oath. And your families can take it along secretly with you as far as that goes. And let's all help each other, listen better to each other, have civil discourse. And one of the people, retired Justice Anthony M. Kennedy, who's very important to this community and this school, has taught here for many years. And I will probably be here while you're here. You'll get to meet him. He talks about the power of the legal language, the power of communication, the power of civil discourse. And I know that if he could be here, he'd be very proud of all of you taking this wonderful oath. So if you would all stand and raise your right hand. And say, state your name. Promise to strive to conduct myself at all times, with professionalism, honesty, integrity, and humility, and will uphold the code of student responsibility. I will strive for legal excellence while working diligently to develop the knowledge and skills necessary to provide assistance to future clients. I will foster an inclusive community that honors and accepts other cultures and differences, and pledge to promote diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. I will exercise good judgment and open-mindedness in the face of adversity, and I will foster an atmosphere of constructive debate while employing a balanced approach in my critical thinking and exhibiting respect for diversity of thought. Congratulations. You may put on your pin.
You're very welcome to put your pin on your lapel or your coat or your dress or whatever it is you wish, your shirt, whatever you wish to put your pin on your tie. I see somebody, so wherever you put it's great. I'd like to share with you, before we wrap up, a few tidbits about your class. I think you'll quickly see why we are so excited to get to work with you. This year's incoming class consists of more than 200 students in total. It includes roughly 175 JD students, 15 MPA and MPP students, 24 LLM, international and JSD students, and 12 MSL students. Our entering students are come to McGeorge at different stages of their lives. The ages of our incoming students range from 20 to 57. And our 20-year-old turns 21 in just a few weeks. This year's class is the first majority-minority class in McGeorge's history, with 51% students of color. You are 54% women and 39% first generation. Collectively, you speak or sign more than 20 languages, including Armenian, American Sign Language, German, Italian, Japanese, Mandarin, Ukrainian, and Spanish. You bring a wide range of experience and talents to your legal studies. Your classmates include former college athletes, a number of you, a police cadet, a published poet, a communications director for a member of Congress, a ranch manager, a DACA dreamer, an aircraft pilot, a school psychologist, and several students who have served in the U.S. Army, Coast Guard, Navy, and the South Korean Army. You have run film festivals, completed marathons, worked as deckhands, participated in moot court and mock trial competitions galore, and nearly all of you have served your communities by volunteering. I'd like to conclude with a story. An older gentleman's father passed away, and his mother had passed away only a couple of months before. And he attended his father's funeral. And afterwards, he went back to his parents' home and just kind of sat in their living room and thought about his parents. His parents had lived a very long and a very meaningful and public serving set of lives. And as he looked around, he saw a picture of his parents when they were young. And he walked over, and for reasons he had no idea why he did this, he turned the picture over. And on the back of the picture, his father had written, "On this day, we were infinite." Class of 2022, on this day, you are infinite. Your futures are great. We are so excited to celebrate with you. Please join me in applauding you. This would not be a formal legal event without great attention to procedures. Students, please stay in place for a moment so our photographer can take a group photo with you and Judge Callahan. Afterwards, everyone is invited to a reception on the quad to get better acquainted with your fellow classmates and these awesome folks behind me. Mingling areas are actually designated with signage so that you can make sure that you meet your particular professors. So stay here. Pictures will come with Judge Callahan. You could be in the pictures too, Felicity. It's okay. Oh, no, we could just do one big picture. It's okay.
Excuse me for standing in front. No, it's okay. Okay. You're going to turn towards me then. There you go. Okay, hold it there. Now turn my way. There you go. One more time. There we go. Give that up. All righty. Very good.
You really haven't experienced McGeorge till you've experienced Judge Callahan. So I'm grateful that you had that experience. Let's go have some fun. I'll see you all on the quad.
Well, good job.
That was quick, huh?
quick.
Huh?
Get
How
everybody
quick was
out.
that? In and out, get out there, I am personally going to, hi Dorothy. How's Mark? He's a bit better today, yeah.